service spec file set up and we have an initial test just to see that all of our services are defined, we can actually go start testing each of our functions within the auth service. So the first one here is this hash password. Okay, so we need to figure out how to mock bcrypt, because bcrypt is a library that we are importing, and they already test their software. We don't need to test their software too. Okay, so we are just testing that our function, the code that we wrote, works. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to mock bcrypt, specifically the hash method. So what I did before I started recording this video is I found this just mock bcrypt example. They're mocking the bcrypt compare, but we are going to try to use it with hash. Okay, so I'm going to write my it statement first. So we're going to say hash password, and then we are going to say should return a hashed version of the passed in password. All right, this is going to be asynchronous. All right, so now we need to kind of write out our inputs and our outputs. So we are going to be passing in a fake password. All right, and then we are going to be returning a hashed password. And then I'm just going to write hashed fake password. Okay, because again, bcrypt.hash works. We are just testing that we are actually calling it, type of a thing. Okay, so then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to say const bcrypt hash is equal to just.fn, and then we're going to say mock return value, and that's going to be hashed password. Okay, and then we are going to say bcrypt dot hash. So let's go over and get our import statement and paste it up here so we can use bcrypt. I'm going to say bcrypt dot hash as just dot mock following this, and then I'm going to say is equal to bcrypt hash. Okay, and we're going to try this out now then. So now we're going to say const result is equal to await service dot hash password, and then we'll pass in our password, and then we're going to say that we expect result to equal hash password. Okay, because these two lines here are mocking this bcrypt.hash method, and instead of actually calling the method, we are just going to mock the return value hashed password. Okay, so let's run our tests and see what happens. All right, perfect. So we have two passed. So now let's also write that we expect bcrypt hash to have been called. Let's see if this is something that will work. And it looks like it will. And then we want to expect that bcrypt hash to have been called with, and then we can write password and 10, because we can see that our rounds here is hard-coded as 10. And yeah, that worked. So now we have tested our hash password, and we can go ahead and minimize this. All right, let's continue. It looks like the next function that we have to test is the create access token. And we are calling the JWT service sign async. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over to here because we have mocked, if you look up here, we've created a mock of the JWT service. So we need to kind of figure out how that's going to work then. All right. So we're gonna do mock resolve value once. Okay. So it's gonna work pretty similarly, hopefully, as what we just did. So we're gonna say create access token, and it should return and access a JWT. Should return a JWT. I'm just gonna leave it as this. What I'm debating about is like the if secret or not part of things, how to explain that, but I'm gonna just kind of test that I know how to create this test first before we get into wording what we're testing. Okay, so let's just do no secret first. So we're gonna say const user is going to be equal to, and then let's go ahead and look. It looks like we're just using the user class here. So we have user ID is pretty much the only thing that we need out of it, but let's go ahead and ID, let's use 15 because that seems to be what we've been using. Okay, and then let's go ahead and import. Interesting. Let's go up and find user here, and we will put it like that. Okay, so now we should have the rest of what user is, which is name, email, username, password, and then projects. I'm gonna save and see if I can just leave it like that, because the only thing we actually need from it is the user ID. So we will see if it gets mad at me about that. Right now it looks like it's mad just because I haven't used it yet. Okay, so then within here we are going to not send a secret. So should return a JWT without inputting a secret. All right, and then we will say we are returning a token. So we're going to say const token is equal to this is, let's just do fake dash JWT. All right. Next, we are going to kind of look at this and try to figure out how we mock our JWT service dot. Okay, I feel like we're on a good stream of, I don't know, thought here. So we're gonna mock the sign async. So we're gonna say mock return value, and the return value that we're going to mock is going to be token. So do we need to mock resolved value? Okay, so we need to mock the resolved value because JWT sign async is asynchronous, so we need to wait for it to the promise to resolve before we can send that. So then let's go ahead and do const result is equal to await service dot create access token, and then we'll pass in the user, and then we expect the result to equal token. All right, it will be fun if this works, and it does. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right. So that looks good. So now let's go expect jwt.service.sign async to have been called. Let's see if that works. It does. All right, and then we're going to say expect jwt service.sign async to have been called with, and then we are doing payload. So let's just do the actual sub. Let's do an object where sub is equal to 15. All right, and let's try that. Perfect. Okay, so now we should be able to test the second case, which is, that we can, should return a JWT while passing in a secret. Okay, so then we have user, then let's do const secret is equal to, let's just do fake secret. Okay, and yeah, so then we will do to have been called, and then it's going to be to have been called with, and then another object, and then we're going to have secret and expires in 10 minutes. All right, let's try that now. All right, nope. Expires in 10 minutes. Feels like we're close. Okay, so expected. Oh, because we didn't pass in the secret. But this is kind of cool because it's showing us that our tests are starting to work, or at least our tests are starting to catch our human issues. All right, perfect. So now we have our create access token, our kind of two different options for this working. We have those working. That is exciting. All right. So yeah, I guess let's do one more before we call it on this video. So we are going to verify unique username. And it says, so first we are going to find a user by username. And then if the user has a username, we'll return true. And if it doesn't, we'll return false. So it should return true if user with username exists. All right, so let's do async. All right, so then we're gonna do our input here. So const username, let's do C Stoves Cup. Then let's do const user, and then we're gonna say as user. We're gonna have ID, say 15, name, Callie, Stoves Cup, email, Callie Stoves Cup at gmail.com. Then we have username, it's going to be C Stoves Cup. And then we're going to have password be fake password. Okay. Then what we need to do is we are going to similarly mock our return value from this. So we are going to say user service dot find user by username dot mock resolved value, and the resolved value is going to be user. Okay, so then we will return true. So we're going to say const result is going to be await service dot verify unique username. Then let's pass in this username, and then we would expect that the result would equal true. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. And the reason why we're mocking this user service function is because we've already tested that function. We're testing whether or not the verify unique username code works as intended, not whether or not the user service function works. Expected true, but received false. Interesting. All right, so what we're gonna do here then is we are going to, we're going to console.log the user. And we are going to see what's going on. Okay, so it is returning user. All right, so then I'm going to do console log and then this. Console log user dot username. Let's try that. C Stows Cup. So verify unique. Oh, I'm just getting, see, this is why we're testing. So we're verifying that it's unique. So if a user comes back, then it's not unique because we found the user, so false. We want it, if we find a user, it's not a unique user, so we should see false come back, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's working. Let's go ahead and add our extra expect statement. So we would expect that user service dot find user by username to have been called, and then we would expect that user service dot find user by username to have been called with username. Perfect. All right, so now we can actually copy this here, and because we want to say should return, so this one should return false if user with username exists, should return true if user with username is not found. Okay, so const username, I'm going to say potato. And then we are going to say that the mock result value is going to be undefined, and the result should be equal to true. We should have called find user by username, and we should have called it with, still with username. Okay, let's give this a try now. All right, that looks good. 6 tests and they are passing. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. And then in the next video, we will move on to verify unique email. See you in a bit.